What's up guys, my name is Calum, and in today's video I am going to talk about how to develop better social skills as an introvert, part 2. So I actually made a video on this about 4 years ago, and for the longest time it got very little views, but over time it's gotten quite a lot, and I've literally read hundreds of comments over the past 4 years from people talking about this subject and the kind of struggles that they have. So I wanted to make a part 2. In this video, I'm gonna share with you guys a daily habit and strategy that if you implement it will not only improve your social skills dramatically in the future, but today it'll give you better social skills, it'll give you less anxiety, make you more confident, and will allow you to make more friends, have more dating relationships, and overall be happier today. Now I know that probably sounds like clickbait, but it's actually not. It's a very common strategy that people have been using for hundreds of years, and it's the idea of warming up socially. Just like if you were going to go to a sporting event or go to the gym and squat 500 pounds, you wouldn't try to do that the very first time you've ever been to the gym, and you would also warm up before doing so. And the same thing applies for our social skills. I think that a lot of times introverts get into a very negative feedback loop when it comes to your social skills because of the nature of being introverted itself. What I mean by that is you need to start thinking about your level of resistance when it comes to meeting and approaching new people, and then your level of charisma that you have when you do approach people. So for myself, I am introverted and I work as a professional videographer. So sometimes I'm out and about filming, meeting, and chatting with lots of people, but sometimes I have to also edit for very long periods of time. And I bet this might be the same for you, where maybe you work from home or you work as a programmer on a computer, or maybe you don't talk to people for a few days that much, and you can enter a state where you have a lot of resistance and very little charisma. So if I edit for 4 or 5 hours, when I come out of that, I notice that it's very difficult for me to approach people. I have a ton of anxiety and fear around it, and when I do so, I'm very stiff and stifled and have very low charisma. So the problem with this is it's kind of a self-reinforcing habit. I've gotten a lot of comments saying that people have had much worse social skills because of COVID. And it's probably true because they've entered a state where they haven't been talking to people, so they have a lot of social resistance and they have very little charisma. And when you have a lot of resistance and not a lot of charisma, you don't really want to talk to people, and so the gap just keeps on widening. But the really exciting thing is that the reverse is also true. So as you warm up socially and approach people and put yourself out there and start meeting and talking to people, your level of resistance starts to lower to the point where it's literally zero and you don't have any resistance, and then your charisma raises to the point where it reaches levels that you never really thought were possible before. So I want you guys to look back on a time where you really did socially warm up and you were maybe having a really good day, you were around your friends, you were having a lot of fun, maybe you were partying, you were approaching and talking to a lot of people. And I want you to think about how you felt, like how much resistance you had and how much charisma you had. And what you'll probably realize is that at the end of that party or that event or whatever it was, you had such little resistance to meeting people and approaching people, and you probably had such high charisma. And an example for myself, when I was younger, this is the first one that I can remember, is I was in college and I used to do brand ambassador work. And so that means that you basically wear like a t-shirt of a certain like company and you wear their logo and you walk around and represent them, and you maybe are handing free items out or asking them to sign up for a newsletter or whatever it is. And you have to go out and approach people. So one day I was working a football event in South Carolina with a few of my friends, and at a lot of these events, the people that are working them are kind of shy and nervous because you do have to walk up and approach a lot of people. And that day my friends were like, you know what, let's really push ourselves socially and see how good of a job we can do, how many people we can meet, and how big this can get. So for 3 or 4 hours, I approached hundreds of people, and we were just running after everyone and engaging with every single person and having a ton of fun. And it was the craziest thing because by the end of the 3 or 4 hour event, my resistance had fallen to zero. So I had absolutely no resistance. In fact, I was excited to run up and approach people. And then also my charisma was literally the highest that I had personally ever experienced. I didn't even think it was possible for myself to be that charismatic and confident. By the end of the event, I had actually gotten a few girls' phone numbers, not because I was trying to, but because I was engaging with them and I was feeling so confident and so charismatic, and they could feel it, and we had chemistry, and it was kind of just a no-brainer situation. But it was something that I had really never experienced, and it kind of opened my mind to the idea that, hey, maybe I am a very social, confident, and cool person that can meet tons of people wherever I go. And if you haven't had that experience before, I highly suggest taking what I'm going to talk to you about next and really implementing it into your life, because it can be shocking how social you can actually be. A lot of people think that you have like this baseline that you're always at of, okay, this is how much resistance I have, this is how much anxiety and fear I have, and this is how social and confident I am. But really, it's a very fluctuating thing. And over the course of a day, you can take yourself from having no charisma to having an enormous amount of charisma, literally in one day. So on to the practical, how do you actually implement this? I'm gonna give you guys 3 steps that if you start doing this, it will transform your social life. Step 1 is get out of the house. So whether you live alone or in an apartment or in a house with roommates, I highly suggest waking up in the morning, doing your daily morning routine, making food, and then leaving as early as possible from your house, and then staying gone as long as possible from your house until nighttime. And I recommend going to cool public places where there's a lot of people where you can socialize. And so if you work from home, work from coffee shops, meet people there. If it's the weekend, get out and go places, go to social events, go to parties, go to places where you're forced to interact with people or where you're just around people in general. Step 2 is to keep this at the forefront of your mind, which is to approach and engage with people that are around you in your vicinity as much as possible. So really meditate and contemplate on this throughout the day, and whenever you go out, if someone's within your vicinity, approach them. Now, I know that probably sounds really scary to a lot of you right now, and I would really highly recommend taking very small baby steps and have a lot of compassion on yourself. Personally, for myself, I do this a lot, but sometimes I'm really socially warmed up, and some days I am not socially warmed up at all. So I always ask myself the question, if I start to feel scared or uncomfortable or nervous, I ask myself, okay, Calum, where's my resistance and where's my charisma? And more often than not, my resistance is really high and my charisma is really low. So I try to be really compassionate towards myself and just say, okay, I'm not warmed up at all, not a problem. I feel kind of nervous and awkward in a social interaction, but I'm going to start approaching people and I'm gonna watch that change. And so when you're getting started, every approach feels so difficult and scary. So I would start with the smallest baby steps you can. So for me, that means that when I'm walking down the street, I look people in their eyes. If we make eye contact, I smile at them. I will say hello to them or hey or whatever it is as I'm passing them. And that will help you get warmed up. And then also I will look, if anyone is around me, I will treat each person as an opportunity to warm up. And what I mean by that is I will walk up to them and ask a question. It could literally be about anything. Oftentimes it's situational based on where I am or if I see them with an item or whatever it is. And I'll just ask a question, and just a simple question. And I know what some people are thinking, like, don't use people, people aren't objects. But the truth is that this is not only helping you, this is helping them, this is helping everyone else. Because what happens is that you are not only warming yourself up socially, but when you approach someone else, you're warming them up socially. 99% of the time when I approach people, they are so happy to have someone talking to them and engaging with them. And then what happens is that they get warmed up, and then they start talking to other people, and then they start talking to other people. So it has this really cool multiplier effect when you go out into real life and be social with people, that it's really improving everyone's social life and happiness and making the world a better place. So I like to think about it as using them, but really we're helping everyone. But it's just a trick for my mind where I go, okay, I'm not feeling good, this is an opportunity to warm up, this is an opportunity to warm up, and this is an opportunity to warm up. So start small, start scaling, and then as you're getting warmed up, just make it a habit of, if anyone is within your vicinity, if you step into an elevator, if you're waiting in line, if you're passing someone, whatever it is, to start talking to them, ask them a question, ask them how their day is going, just start interacting with them. And what you'll find is people are so happy, and then it is crazy when you start interacting with people, how fast your resistance drops and how high your charisma goes. If I approach 10 people throughout the course of a day, usually by the end of that day, my resistance is 0 and my charisma is basically maxed out. And when you get to that point during a day, and this should be your goal every day, to have as little resistance and as much charisma, really cool things start to happen. And what I mean by that is that you're gonna start to be talking to cool people, and you're gonna start to feel chemistry with them and be like, yo, we should be friends. And you're gonna get their contact info and invite them to go do something. Or you're gonna meet someone that you might wanna date and you have a lot of attraction to, and they have attraction to you. So you start to have really cool experiences where you're meeting people to be friends with, to dating. And even if it doesn't lead to anything, if you're just talking to a grandma and you're having a good conversation, what I've noticed is that my level of happiness is so much higher during a day that I am social and meeting people. Because whether you're introverted or extroverted, we all need human connection. We all need love. We all need quality relationships, whether they're friendships or romantic. So this is something that really improves the quality of your life dramatically, and it's totally free and it's really accessible at all times. And I really like this when it comes to dating also, because I've never really liked the idea of approaching a girl that I think is attractive and being like, oh wow, you know, you're so hot, and trying to get her number or something, because it's not exactly authentic. Because a lot of times I don't really know her, and if I did, I probably wouldn't like her. And what I found with this is that I tend to just interact with tons of people, and if I do happen to be talking to an attractive girl, the majority of the time I don't click with her, I don't have chemistry with her, I'm not interested with her, and nothing happens. And that's normal. Like, we're not really supposed to mix with every single person that we see. We're not supposed to have a romantic connection with every single person, even if we think that they're physically attractive. It doesn't work that way. So what's cool about this is that you end up finding people to date naturally, because if you're talking to a large volume of people, eventually you'll be chatting with a girl or a guy and you'll notice, whoa, we actually like have a ton of chemistry and a lot of attraction and we get along really well. And then you get their phone number really naturally, whereas you weren't going into the interaction to hit on them, but it ended up just happening naturally. And I think that's a way more fun and authentic way to meet people. Step 3 is really taking this advice and using it strategically in your life when it comes to events, parties, that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that all of us have had that experience where you're not warmed up socially, so you have really low or really high resistance and really low charisma, and you're at a party and you don't really know anyone and you feel super awkward and uncomfortable. You're like, what do I do? You talk to people, but it feels kind of weird. I've been in that situation a lot of times. So what I would say is, if you're going to a networking event, you're going to a party, you're going on a date, and you notice, like, I would say ask yourself before, like an hour before, like, how do I feel? Like, where's my resistance? Where's my charisma? And if you notice that you're not warmed up, I would make it a special point to, you know, a few hours before or 30 minutes before, to go and approach people before this event. So what does that look like? Let's say you're going to a networking event downtown, and you go downtown, you park, you get out of your car, you're walking. I would approach people on the street. I would say hello to people as you're passing them. I would try to open people or approach people. I would even kind of chase after someone and ask them a question. I would really do that stuff. Or if there's no one out in the street, I would walk into stores and start talking to people. And you will literally, it is shocking the difference that can make. If you get warmed up socially, when you go into that networking event, people will literally perceive you as such a cooler person. They'll treat you way better. You'll vibe with everyone way more, and you'll have a much more fun time, and you'll be perceived much better in people's eyes. For example, a few weeks ago, I was going out to a bar like during the week, and I had been working before this. It was for a friend's birthday, and I was not feeling socially warmed up at all. I kind of checked in with myself, and I was like, okay. So I parked, I was walking to the bar by myself, so I wasn't going with other friends, I was walking by myself, and I made sure I approached, I think, 4 people on the way to the bar, and got socially warmed up and had a super good night. And I noticed that within those 4 approaches, I was able to go from like high resistance, low charisma to like a decent spot. I still probably had some resistance, but I had pretty high charisma and I was feeling really good. And that's a proper way to use this strategically to warm up before an event. A final note that I want to make is on appearance. I already know that I'm gonna get some comments of people saying, you know, that's cool for you, but I can't do this because I'm not attractive, I don't look good, I'm ugly, people don't like me, whatever it is. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Your appearance absolutely matters, 100%, full stop. People will treat you better the better that you look. And I know it sounds crazy and people are gonna think that that's super superficial, but it's actually true, and you can't deny it yourself, because whether we like it or not, it's innate within our biology. We all do this. As soon as we meet or see a person, we instantly scan what they're wearing, their whole body, and we look at them and we judge them instantaneously under a second. So it really is important to look as good as possible. And I'm not saying get plastic surgery. I'm not saying to be overly concerned with it, but I'm saying to take it seriously and to make sure that you look as good as you can every single day. If I could go back to my teenage self, when I was 15, I was super unconfident. I was not great socially. And you know, I was a teenager, probably like most of you guys. And if I could go talk to myself right now and help myself, honestly, I would start with appearance. That would be the very first thing I would have started with myself. And that means you want to be in good shape. You want to eat healthy. You want to be healthy in general, get good sleep, all that stuff. You want to have as good of a haircut as possible, facial hair, all that kind of stuff. And you want to dress as good as you possibly can. I think that that is the biggest hack that very few people take advantage of, is style. And it doesn't have to be expensive. So for myself, for the past 2 years, I have thrifted 99% of the clothes that I bought. I have a sewing machine, I tailor my own clothes. It's been a very cheap and affordable habit, and I've been able to expand my style dramatically. And I wish I had started doing that in high school, because I would have gotten way different results in my social life when I was younger if I had learned how to dress better at an earlier age. So I would say take your appearance as an important factor, and to the point where if you think your appearance is really bad, if you have that self-awareness, I would focus on that at the exclusion of almost anything else. Not only does it make people perceive you better, but it will also make you more confident. And this is kind of like a high level subtle thing, but I think a lot of times people really judge, like especially clothing and the way that you look, to see if you are in their tribe or someone that they would be friends with or date or whatever it is. So if you want to be someone that interacts with what you perceive as a cool person, I would make sure that you're dressed as well as possible for that category, because everyone has a different genre of people that they like to interact with or style, if it's like skater, surfer, like streetwear, whatever it is. But I would make sure that you're dressing as well as you can in that category. And what's gonna start happening is that if you're dressed very well, you'll notice people in that category of person, when you're out and about, they will notice you, and because automatically they'll be like, whoa, that person might belong in my tribe. And then if you approach them, they're gonna receive you so well. So I'm gonna cut the video off here. I hope this was really helpful to you guys. I would love if you left a comment below with what you thought about this video. You can also follow me on Instagram if you wanna message me about anything, or you are looking for help in this area with improving your social skills. I would say for most people, where you should start is getting therapy. That would probably help you the most. But if you do feel like you want any kind of specific coaching, you can send me a message. I don't do it often, but if I do connect with the person, we can see if it's a good fit and I can maybe help you out. Anyways, check out the channel if you aren't already subscribed, and I will see you guys soon. Ciao.